What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this beautiful, there's a mosquito right there, beautiful Saturday evening. It is November 6th, 2021, about 6:30 p.m. California time. And the latest quake out there on the Earthquake 3D globe is a 2.6 in Northern California. Still trying to get that mosquito. Looks like right around the Northern California-Oregon border, that 2.6 just struck within the last hour. Quite the earthquake uptick in activity over around the, let's go ahead and see if I can bring this up here. Not for sure why I did that, but okay. There's the latest map from the USGS here showing a bunch of, I'm talking about a bunch, folks, a bunch of activity around the Fiji Islands area. This is no joke. There is quite a bit of extremely deep earthquake activity. Look at the last one, was a 605 kilometer deep 4.3, all within this cluster of deep earthquake activity around the Fiji Islands, the Tonga region, Samoa, all seeing some deep earthquake activity into the Tonga Trench. Also down here to the south along the Kermadec Trench, some further deep activity, although not quite as deep, a 4.3 at 35 kilometers, but I haven't seen this in quite a while. This is a large cluster of deep movement. And of course, whenever we see deep earthquake activity, we tend to see an uptick in surface activity towards the western part of the area. And that's kind of where we're at right now with the earthquake activity around the Indonesia area, where they had a 6.0 earthquake earlier, way earlier today. That one relatively shallow. We did see some further deep movement in this area as well. 159 kilometer deep 4.5 within the Indonesia area, the Banda Sea. Within that region, of course, that 6.0 struck earlier as well, but we did see that deeper movement prior to that 6.0. And of course, as I mentioned, deep earthquake activity leading to quite a bit of increased surface activity within the region. So kind of watching this area in between here, the Vanuatu area and Solomon Islands. Of course, when we get a kind of look at a whole picture here, the Pacific Plate moves, you know, as a whole, and for the most part, and still this activity up here to the north, the northern part, northwestern part of the Pacific Ring of Fire has still been relatively quiet. Not a whole lot of movement, folks. Yes, we're seeing some sporadic earthquake activity, maybe every couple days or so, but nothing like the release of pressure that I'm expecting to see within this area. I've been expecting it here for a couple months, but we just haven't had it. So I still think this area here is pretty watchful area for some larger quake activity. But let's get back into this movement down in the Fiji Islands area. What do we got here? We got the majority of these are extremely deep, except for one. That 5.3 right at the Tonga Trench area, right there at the subduction zone, is the only earthquake at about 10 kilometers. Other than that, everything else, 88, 35 kilometers, 605, 556, 216, 513. I mean, there's a lot, folks, of deep earthquake activity taking place here. So we're watching that region pretty closely. We did see some further movement over here around the area well to the northwest of the Indonesia area. They had a 4.4. This one's pretty deep as well for this region. Just seen a whole bunch of deep movement globally, folks, along this Pacific Plate area, stretching off of there as well. Some further deep movement over here around the Peru-Chile Trench. See a couple fours kicking off there, 140 kilometers for the deepest one within the subduction zone of that trench. Also some activity well, this was late last night, early this morning, that 4.3, 59 kilometers off the coast of El Salvador. In the Northern California, there is that 2.6 near Doris, a little bitty town in Northern California. Been through there a couple times on my way up to Klamath Falls, Oregon. This one here is a 2.6 at 2.8 kilometers into the Butte Valley area. Kind of an oddball area. We just don't see too much earthquake activity within this region. See if this thing has been reviewed. It's an automatic status as of right now, so it has not been reviewed by a seismologist. So things could change for that earthquake. Lower earthquake southwest of Eureka, 24-kilometer deep, 1.9. That is a subduction zone earthquake for the Cascadia subduction zone. For the most part, movement up here in this region, relatively quiet. Looking at the San Andreas Fault, seeing a couple microquakes along the creeping section. Also a little microquake well off the San Andreas Fault near San Simon. You know what? That one always gets me. 6.3 kilometers for that earthquake within this area. Let's see here. These names here, they just blow me away sometimes. I don't utilize them all that much. Los Angeles, seen a little swarm of activity, a couple small microquakes scattered out about the concrete jungle down there. Some of this earthquake activity deep as well, a 1.8 in East LA, 16.5 kilometers. That's pretty deep movement. We have been seeing a little deeper earthquake activity in the Southern California region recently. That could be some telltale signs of some soon-to-be surface rupture. We will watch that as well. Look at this movement here around the San Jacinto Fault area. Only a small handful of microquakes in that region. Little earthquake on the Imperial Fault at 1.9. Ridgecrest area and areas to the north relatively quiet. Just a couple small microquakes in each vicinity. We did see some further movement up here to Montana and Idaho, but nothing significant, folks. Looks like a kind of a dry day, if you will, when it comes to earthquake activity into the western part of the country. Around the New Madrid area, a pair of earthquakes, a 2.1 and a 1.7. Within the Arkansas area, of course, this area sits right smack dab, as I mentioned, within the hazard zone of the New Madrid area. There is a USGS hazard map showing the New Madrid area fault zone. And that's kind of right there at the southern end of that region of the New Madrid area. Over down southeast in Alabama, of all places, Maplesville, Alabama, a 2.4 earthquake striking at 0 kilometers. Okay. What else we got here, folks? Mediterranean Sea, regions east, relatively quiet. The Yellowstone thumbnails. We did have a little spitter-spatter of activity from Yellowstone earlier. You can see that movement a few hours ago, kicking up some major swarming for a short amount of time. All this little spiky activity indicating some microquakes, kind of a little fluster, if you will. Just a short-term fluster from Yellowstone, but it's since then has calmed down. The PNSN network, see if I can find the tremor map here along the Cascadia. Looks like 23 epicenters of tremor. That's very minor. Into this area of Oregon, things have been kind of calming down recently with the Cascadia subduction zone tremor. Far as solar weather goes into the... Let's see here. Hold on one second. Yeah, things relatively quiet right now. Looks like 35% chance of sea flare. Could have swore I just felt like some movement. But I'm looking at my earthquake rock. I do not see anything shaking. Okay. Maybe just, who knows? Just kind of odd. Sunspot activity kind of diminishing. 2893 looks like a little minor one where we could expect to see some sea flare possibilities coming from. But other than that, it looks like things calming down on the sun. All right, folks, have a good day. Stay safe out there Saturday night. There's a lot of crazies out there. Let me tell you, there's a lot of crazy people out there right now. At least here where I live. I don't know about where you live, but man, here in California, let me tell you. Look at all that activity on the globe. Unbelievable amount of deep movement. It's a lot. This here is a bunch of deep activity, folks. So be on guard. I have a feeling we got something coming up here really soon in the larger earthquake size. Just a matter of pinpointing the exact location. For now, have a good night. And, of course, stay safe out there, folks. We will chat you guys another time. And, yeah, peace out.